We're in Deuteronomy Chapter 20. This is the social section which begins in chapter 20 and ends in chapter 26. This is the first section of the social duties. It's called Laws Concerning Warfare. And we spent quite a lot of time looking at this chapter. We also went through the history of Israel. We saw that the services of the sanctuary at Mount Sinai lasted how long? How long? Brother? 50 days. Some people think they're there for a year, but there's 50 days. Has anybody had a look at that? Have they gone back to the spirit of prophecy? Any concerns that we made any mistakes on those numbers? It's all good? Has everybody got notes? And they've got all the verses? Just in case, let's just quickly review. They leave Egypt when? Let's do this quickly. 15th first of the first year. And someone can give us the Bible references for those. Then what? They arrive in the wilderness of Sinai. They arrive in the wilderness of Sinai when? Third month. It doesn't give us the day of the first year. The reference of that? Then what did we learn? What's the next waymark we looked at? Anyone? The rearing up of the tabernacle? Are our notes not good? When's that? First day? First month? And we're where? 40 verse 2 and 17. Sorry? And also Numbers 9? 9:15? Then what? Who has notes? Yes, I just want to do this quickly. If you know, just shout out the answers. So they leave Sinai when? And the verse for this? So they leave. They set up. They arrive and they leave. What else? "11 days to Kadesh Barnea." Where are we? Deuteronomy 1 verse. And that takes us, it doesn't give us a date, does it? That takes us into the 3rd month. Of the 2nd year. Then what? Sorry? 38 years later. So there are 40 days at Kadesh Barnea in the wilderness, which would take you to, is that the 5th month? Is that right? Bible verse for this? "40 days have ended." We haven't had a Bible verse for the 40 days. And the curse is given to them.
Numbers
40, 34. Read that for us.
And after the number of the days in which ye set the land, even 40 days, each day for a year shall ye bear your iniquity. With 40 years ye shall know by breach of promise.
Okay, so it's going to go all the way back to this date, and it's going to mark 40 years. And now so these were days, and now we've got 38 years. Which verse are we in now? Deuteronomy 2, 14. And we didn't put a date for that, did we? Sorry? 40.
Yeah, 14. Numbers.
Oh, Numbers 2:14. This one? Oh, sorry.
Numbers 14.
This is Numbers.
No. Numbers 14, verse 24.
That one is Deuteronomy.
That one is.
No.
This one.
Yeah.
And this one is?
Numbers 14.
Oh.
Change the chapter, but not.
Numbers 14:34. Okay. And this is?
Deuteronomy
2:14.
And it says what? Everyone dies. We there? And this place is called, we don't know the date, do we? And who dies? We'll get this one right. H. 1397. Okay. So that's our timeline. We haven't. Sorry?
I don't know. Numbers chapter 14. It did the other one. Yeah. It did the peace man of the peace. The peace man of the second year.
What's your question? The fifth month of the 2nd year? Are you asking me?
Yeah.
All I did was, which one do we know for sure? We know that one for sure. Yeah? 20th day. So if you add 11 days onto that, you get to the beginning of the 3rd month. Agree with that? I didn't put the day on it because it's not given. Probably the 1st day of the 3rd month. You have to check carefully. And then if you do 40 days, So that'd be the 4th month then, would it? Not the 5th month. Is that what you're saying? Yeah, that's right, isn't it? The 4th month. The whole of the 3rd month, which is 30 days, then 10 days into the 4th month. All good? Thank you. So we have a timeline there. We haven't figured out how you get 2 and 38 to come to 40, because when you come to here where you leave, it's still the first, it's only been there for 1 year. In fact, by the time you get to the cursed, it's still only 1 year and a couple of months. Everybody okay? So we did all that, and we marked 1397. It's the men of war that are being marked when it talks about the death. What question does that raise? What would we normally say when we talk about who dies? What would we say? Who dies? Someone put the hand up. Who spoke? Who? Everyone. So we normally would say everyone dies. We haven't researched this properly. I'm not trying to challenge our existing understanding, but we would normally say everyone dies, wouldn't we? And the verse says, what's the marker? We know what the marker that says. What does it say? No one wants to say? Brother Andrew, what does the verse say? You didn't hear my question? Okay. Sister Emma? Sorry? I'm saying we would normally say all that generation died. Everybody. Everybody would mean whom? Men and women, not children, because we're the way we do it is just that generation, and if it's we'll just do it that, so we won't keep it complicated. We'll just say the men and the women, because you could have a child that was over 20 that would also die, so their siblings would survive, but the older children wouldn't. We could do that, but the verse says only men of war are the ones that are being marked. Joshua chapter verse 4 till 6. Joshua chapter 5 verses 4 till 6. I'm going to begin at verse 2. Sorry? Verses 4 to 6, that's what he said, chapter 5, yes? I'm going to begin at verse 2, that's where the section begins. In my Bible it says, the people are circumcised. At that time the Lord said unto Joshua, make these sharp knives and circumcise again the children of Israel. The second time Joshua made him sharp knives and circumcised the children of Israel at the hill of the foreskins. And this is the cause why Joshua did circumcise all the people that came out of Egypt that were males, even all the men of war died in the wilderness by the way after they came out of Egypt. Now all the people that came out were circumcised, but all the people that were born in the wilderness by the way as they came forth out of Egypt, them they had not circumcised. For the children of Israel walked 40 years in the wilderness till all the people that were men of war which came out of Egypt were consumed, because they obeyed not the voice of the Lord unto whom the Lord sware that he would not show them the land which the Lord sware unto their fathers, that he would give us a land that floweth with milk and honey. And the children whom he raised up in their stead, them Joshua circumcised, for they were uncircumcised, because they had not circumcised them by the way. It came to pass, when they had done circumcising all the people, that they abode in their places in the camp, till they were healed. And the Lord said unto Joshua, this day have I rolled away the reproach of Egypt from off you. Wherefore the name of the place is called Gilgal unto this day. And what does Gilgal mean? A rolling. So it means rolling, but what does it actually mean? Gilgal. It means rolling, but Sister Dorcas? Oh. Sister Jackie? Not sure? My brother? One behind you. No? Gilgal means rolling, but it really means... My brother? No? I'll read the verse again. It says, the Lord said unto Joshua, this day have I rolled away the reproach of Egypt from off you. Wherefore the name of the place is called Gilgal unto this day. So, Gilgal means... Brother Andrew, Gilgal means? Another question, not sure. My sister? With the... Sorry? Can someone repeat the words you say? A wheel. Why did you say a wheel? Because? Because the wheel rolls. Did you make that up, or does it? You got that from the verse? You got it from the verse? Oh, okay, you're looking at the Hebrew word. Okay? Try and stay in the English. Anyone else? My sister here, in front. Gilgal means... My brother? Brother? It means circumcision. Brother Rogers? A wheel. You just go back to the Hebrew word, wheel. And try and stay in the English. He says roll.
Yeah, and that is the word that is used to describe Gilgal.
Yes, I'm asking for another word. What's behind that? Who had their hand up? Sorry? Of what? So Gilgal means to put away or remove the reproach. Anyone else? Yep. So Gilgal, it says to roll away, but it's this reproach or this curse. So it's the removal of a curse. Everybody okay with that? Okay, so it's Brother Benjamin that took us here. Joshua 5. We're here, aren't we? Is this where we're at? Verses 4 to 6. No, 4 to 5, you told us. So what's that saying? Tell us, Brother Benjamin. we've got a second witness that what it said in Deuteronomy is the same thought, the same idea. Does that surprise anybody? Was that new to anyone? Did everybody already know that? Any questions, any points that people want to draw out from that?
I think by just going to Deuteronomy chapter 2, you can read verse 15 and 16.
Okay, so we'll go back to Deuteronomy chapter 2. And you want us, we read verse 14. We read, and the space in which we came from Kadesh Barnea until we were come over the brook Zered was 38 years, until all the generation of the men of war were wasted out from amongst us. So I'm just going to put Zered there. They crossed the brook Zered, and you want us to read 15 and 16. For indeed, the hand of the Lord was against them to destroy them from amongst the host until they were consumed. So it came to pass, when all the men of war were consumed and dead from among the people, that the Lord spake unto me, saying, Thou art to pass over through Ar, the coast of Moab, this day.
So I think if you read verse 15 and 16, it's like a repeat and enlarge. And what God is trying to, what I'm trying to see is that the Lord destroyed the men of war from among the host. So I think the host is the people. And verse 16 repeats the same thing, that so it came to pass when all the men of war were consumed and dead from among the people. So it's making a distinction, the men of war and the people.
Anybody got any questions?
Yeah. Now I want to understand, why is it called men of war? Is it that it was only men that died in the wilderness and the women did not die? Because the curse was pronounced that those who are 20 years and old and above, they are going to die in the wilderness, and the young one now will remain. So I want to ask my question, was it only cast upon men and not women?
No, that's my question. That's why I brought this. That's why I'm pressing this point. And that's why I said, has anybody got a problem? And nobody said anything. You're the first person to say, yeah, I've got a problem with that. Because I think most people have either read or think that everyone died. We'll just say men and women. Remember, that's what I asked Sister Emma. I said, who died? She said, we normally say men and women. Then she said children, but I said, we'll leave the children because it gets complicated. Because some of the children died who were over 20. They would have died, yeah? But they come into their own category, I'm suggesting. So we would normally say men and women, I think. Everybody. Is that right? Is that what you believe? Before this class, before you came to this school, what did you think?
Men and women.
Everyone. So why did you think that?
Because if I go to the case of the rebellion of Korah and Biram and the other bad guy,
So, of who?
see that Korah,
Korah, Dathan, and Abiram.
yeah. So then they were cast both to their families. And the
So in that story, everyone dies.
yeah,
Who dies?
men, women, and children.
Everybody. So you know that's a unique situation because it mentions the children. So you can't just easily say, well, if the men did the sin, therefore, and the women died as well, therefore we would assume it here because it said in that story the children died. The whole, if you could say that was a tribe or a group of people, the whole group is destroyed. So if you're going to take that logic and bring it to Kadesh Barnea, how many people would you have left? You'd probably just have two groups. Joshua's family, because his family would have survived, and Caleb's family, and maybe Moses's. and maybe Aaron's, and maybe his Miriam's, his sister. So at maximum, you probably would have had 5 families. Everyone else would have died, man, woman, and children. But it doesn't. The children survive because the children aren't guilty. If you agree with that, okay, this one here. So I'm not sure if you can use Korah, Dathan, and Abiram as an example to say, well, the women died there, so therefore the women would have died in the wilderness curse, because in that story, the one that you gave us, the whole household dies. And not in the whole household, I think all their goods are destroyed, and I think all their animals are destroyed, and you don't see that in the curse. So I'm not sure if we can use that as an argument. So either you read it somewhere, or you assumed it. So I was waiting for someone to pull up a verse that says, it tells you everyone, men and women, but so far we've only got these 2 verses which say not even just men, it's just men of war. And I think that's a surprise for most people, and I'm surprised people are just sitting back and saying, oh, that's interesting, that's fine. And they're not, I don't want to say concerned, but they're not troubled. So you ask the same question that I'm asking, like, why is everybody okay with that? What have we assumed things wrong, or are we headed down the wrong track now? What's going wrong in our thinking? At the back, do you have a verse for us, or just a comment? Sorry? Okay, about men of war.
So when we see the book of Deuteronomy, is a transition from the wilderness to Canaan. And when you come to Canaan, even though the men of war perish in the wilderness, we are going to see Joshua maintaining the same concept of the men of war who are going to fight Jericho. And this is the verse we see here. In Joshua chapter 6, verse 3. Because the word man in Deuteronomy chapter 2 verse 5 says a strong person. So I tend to believe that only those who went to war, they were men who were supposed to be strong, not weak. And the only definition that we've been given in Deuteronomy is only to make a person who was strong were men. And Joshua, when they were going to conquer Jericho, he's going to call them, going to do another place where he's going to call them the men of war.
So that was just a comment, yes?
So I just want to give some more thoughts. I've just decided to go back to where the curse is pronounced. And I think
Where are we?
Numbers 14.
So we're going to go back to Numbers 14.
So I just begin from verse 29. When I was recording.
So in Numbers 14, we normally go to 34, which is I'm saying that's where we normally would go, which would be day for a year. And we're going to drop back to 27. Brother Dennis took us back to 29. How long shall I bear with this evil congregation which murmur against me? I have heard the murmurings of the children of Israel, which they murmur against me. Say unto them, as truly as I live, saith the Lord, as ye have spoken in mine ears, so will I do to you. Your carcasses shall fall in this wilderness, and all that were numbered of you, according to your whole number, from 20 years old and upward, which have murmured against me. Doubtless ye shall not come into the land concerning which I swear to make you dwell therein, save Caleb the son of Jephunneh, and Joshua the son of Nun. But your little ones, which ye said should be your prey, them will I bring in, and they shall know the land which ye have despised. But as for you, your carcasses, they shall fall in this wilderness, and your children shall wander in the wilderness 40 years, and bear your whoredoms until your carcasses shall be wasted in the wilderness.
Yeah, so if you go to verse 29, if you are careful and see what God pronounces, he pronounces a curse upon all that were numbered of you. So these men that are going to be, the curse is pronounced upon all those who are numbered. And now if you go back to Numbers chapter 1, this is where Moses is going to number. So if you go to Numbers chapter 1, you're going to see who is going to be numbered.
Chapter 1, verse...
So from verse 1.
And the Lord spake unto Moses in the wilderness of Sinai in the tabernacle of the congregation on the first day of the second month in the second year. Where's that? Yeah. Numbers 1:1. Where are we? It says first day, second month in the second year. So we're here, is that right?
Yeah.
First day, second month, second year. And this is Numbers 1:1. And what are they going to do?
Numbering.
Number the people. So the tabernacle's been set up. It's a month later, and now he's going to number the people. Take the sum of all the congregation of the children of Israel after their families by the house of their fathers, with the number of their names, every male by their polls. From 20 years old and upward, all that are able to go forth to war in Israel, thou and Aaron shall number them by their armies.
So if you go to that verse, the people who are numbered are men who are able to go to war. And when you read the last verse, verse 45, Numbers 1, it's a summary of the numbering.
So 1 second. Deuteronomy chapter 2, verses 14 to 16. This is men of war. And they're the ones that died. We confirmed that in Joshua 5, verses 4 to 5. And we read 2 to 9. And that's men of war. It's the same story. And now we've gone to Numbers 1, verses 1 to 3.
Yes.
Verses 1 to 3.
And verse 45.
We'll do that in a minute. And this is men of war as well. And where's the 20 year? Is that in Numbers 14? When they get the curse. Sorry? 14:29. So that's the curse. So I'll put 14:29. And this is 20 years old. And so Numbers 1 to 3, it says men of war, and it says what?
It says males of poles.
Yes, but it said, what else did it say? I thought we read it.
From 20 years
It
up.
says, yeah? So it says that. So it says the 20 years. So if we take anything else from Numbers 1 to 3, verses 1 to 3, we'll hold that there. Now you want to take us to, which verse 45?
Yeah.
Verse 45. So I'm going to go back to verse 44. These are those that were numbered, which Moses and Aaron numbered, and the princes of Israel, being 12 men, each one was for the house of his fathers. So were all those that were numbered of the children of Israel, by the house of their fathers, from 20 years old and upward, all that were able to go forth to war in Israel.
Yeah. So my point is that if you go to Numbers chapter 14 verse 34, God is going to pronounce a curse upon all those who are numbered, and the curse is pronounced upon the men of war. As we have seen, it's the men of war. In fact, in Numbers chapter 1 it says men, Paul, that were numbered and were the ones who are called men of war, they that should go to war. So I think I would agree, like we have been having a wrong perception that it's both men and women, because it's the men of war that are going to receive the curse, and it's the men of war that are going to die.
Good, I like that point. So we have 1 to 3 and verse 45. So when you're going back to your notes and you're writing these down, you need to go to the surrounding verses. We're just giving the key ones. So we've got men of war, they're 20 years old. So if we come back to 1397, let's just summarize what we had done with that. 1397, where did we get that from? Where did we study that? So we went to Deuteronomy 22 verse 5, and the verse says what? In the King James. What does the verse say in King James? The woman shall not wear that which pertaineth unto a man, neither shall a man put on a woman's garment. So that man that's been brought to view there is, we said, what? So let me make sure I get that one correct, unlike last time. I just want to make sure I get the language correct. So we're in 1397, and it says, properly a valiant man or warrior, generally a person. So we took that concept properly and generally, and we said properly means, the most correct way of understanding that would be a valiant man or a warrior. And what phrase did we use for this? We ended up having two. We erased that board work. What's the short version we had? Sorry? A brave fighting man. Okay, someone just said something. Did I miss something? Who spoke? Sorry? We brainstormed and we had lots of words, but we end up having with a sentence. Where's valiant in that? Brave. So we could put valiant there, but I think we ended up putting brave. I'm not saying you have to, this is the answer that you have to repeat. You can come up with your own statement, express it in your own words, but that's what we ended up having. That's from what I remember. A brave fighting man. Yes? We couldn't get anything else from the verse. So now we've got this way mark here and this way mark here. The introduction of the curse and its fulfillment. So are we okay there? So the curse is given. No, not given. We'll say start. And this one is the curse fulfilled. We okay with that? The curse is fulfilled when they cross over the brook Zered. Everybody good? No questions? So we've got an alpha and omega for the curse. It's the beginning and the end of the curse. It begins with people who are 20 years old and over, and you can find in Numbers, we find that in Numbers 29, in Numbers 34. Let me ask this question. All of this here, in that story, do we know it's men? Where do we know it's men? Is Numbers 1 this story or this story? Where is Numbers 1?
That story where they are numbered.
Where are they numbered?
Before, where you put on the
Here.
yeah.
So they're numbered here.
Yeah.
Okay? So we want to put Numbers 1. We attached it here because I know why, because we put all men of war here. So here we know who the numbering of the people are. So we're okay with that. And the curse is going to be given to all those who are 20 years and old and over, and all that information was given here. So the target audience at the beginning is the men of war. It begins with the men of war and it ends with the men of war. Everyone okay with that?
I'm not okay.
You're not okay.
Yeah.
So let me just stop then. Numbers 1 goes here. You agree with that?
Yeah.
Okay. And the curse is given here.
Yeah.
So you're okay with the start of the curse,
Yeah.
the end of the curse,
Yeah.
and you're okay that if you're 20 years old, if you're over 20, you will receive the curse.
Yeah.
And here, the people it's marking are all the men of war that have just died.
Yeah, it become Deuteronomy is men of war which have died, but my problem is
Okay.
when you take Numbers chapter 1 verse 1 and you start with Numbers chapter 14, I'm seeing these are two different things.
To what?
They are different. We went to type because of numbering of 20 years and 20 years, but they are not together. The reason is that when you come to Numbers chapter 14, that the reason is going to be, the curse is going to be pronounced based on everyone who have numbering. Whether you are a woman and you have about that, you have 20 years, or whether you are children, you are a child and you are maybe you have that one, when curse is coming upon you. But coming to Numbers chapter 1 verse 1, with the very people which are going to fight,
The very number people who are going to
people who are going to fight,
die,
no,
fight.
yeah, because we know that our Lord has been working at the beginning. It's not the same way because when the
Let me just stop you so I understand what you're saying. Here, who's getting numbered?
the people who will go for war, but not because they are remembering that why they were numbered there.
I'm not asking why, I'm just asking who's numbered here?
People who are going,
Who are they? Men
yeah,
who are over 20.
yeah,
That's that numbering there. So the numbering here is men of war who are over 20. You agree with that? So here, I'll box this here because it doesn't belong here, does it? Numbers 1 doesn't belong here. It belongs back here. I just put it there. Okay? And we've got Numbers 1:1, the numbering of the people. And what did verse 45 say? What was the point of that?
It was a summary that
Okay, so verse 45 is just a summary. So that one goes there. Here, when the curse is fulfilled, you agree that we could put that? Fulfilled, comes to its end. The thing that marks the end is what? What marks the end of the curse?
it's after the men of war they have been listed.
The men of the war have been wasted. Okay? So you're okay with those ones here. The men of war are wasted. Yes? So you agree with all of that? So when we come back to here, the curse that's going to be given, because we've got the beginning of the curse and the end, this is going to be given to everyone who's over 20 years old. So the question is, who is that marking? Is that marking men and is that marking women? You say it's marking men and women.
I'm saying that he's marking everyone who is mama,
Who is?
who have rebelled.
What about if you didn't rebel?
Then like there were very people who were like those of Joshua. They were above that age, but they were not numbered. So
No, I said, who's this people here? I said, is it men and women? You didn't say yes or no to that. You said just everyone who murmurs. What if you don't murmur?
then you are not.
You can go into Canaan if you don't murmur.
Yeah. Because the problem is murmuring, which is bringing the curse. If I am not murmuring,
So,
how will curse come upon me? I will not.
Everyone agree with that? If you don't murmur, you can make it through. Who agrees with that? You don't agree with that. So, tell me why you disagree.
Yes, I'm going to give an example. If you're going to see this history, Moses and Aaron, they did not murmur, isn't it? But they reached Canaan, they did go.
Because of
Don't do that. No, don't talk to each other. You just talk to me.
If we deal here according to the context of Numbers chapter 14, then we can see that those who murmur are the ones whom cast is pronounced against. But here Moses and Aaron, they did not murmur. Also, if we are going to work according to the reading of the Bible, it says here in verse 28 that as I live, say the Lord.
Where are we?
Verse 28 of Numbers chapter 14.
Okay, 1 second. Numbers 14:28.
Or let's begin from verse 29.
Okay, so this is the one we read. Your carcasses shall fall in the wilderness, and all that were numbered of you according to your whole number, from 20 years old and upward, which have murmured against me.
And all that were numbered of you. So you will see that there is you and those that were numbered out of them. So you are the children of Israel, and they that were numbered out of them are the ones that are going to be affected by the curse. So if we are going to take this, the first question to ask is where was these people numbered? Then we are going to get it now in Deuteronomy chapter 1. Because not the whole congregation that is going to be affected, but they that were numbered. That's one of the characteristics of those that are going to be wasted away later in the time period of the wilderness. So, and the numbering is in Deuteronomy chapter 1.
So just take up that point. 14:29. Your carcasses shall fall in this wilderness, and all that were numbered of you, according to your whole number, from 20 years old and upwards. So regardless of who dies or who gets the curse, in 14:29, when it says everyone that was numbered, what is he talking about when they were numbered, my brother? I'm not looking about who dies or the men or women, but when it just says all that were numbered according to your whole number, when was that done? Did it happen when they come out of Kadesh Barnea and all this apostasy happens? He says, now I'm going to number you, let's sort you all out. Or is he talking about to a previous numbering that was done? Okay, so do you agree that the number that's mentioned here is the number that's mentioned here? The numbering. It says you were numbered, and this is where they were numbered. Is that how you see that? Yeah? So this is only 2 months ago. It's not long, is it? 2 months ago, I numbered all of you, and all those that were numbered. So we'll see what the rest of the verse teaches. But the people that were numbered were the men of war who were 20 years old and over. That's what the numbering that was done in chapter 1. Agree with that? So now we're in chapter 14, and he says, your carcasses shall fall in this wilderness, and all that were numbered of you, according to your whole number, from 20 years old and upwards, which have murmured against me, doubtless you shall not come into the land. So, who's not going to come into the land? Everyone that was numbered. and the ones that murmured. Is that right?
You're reading 29?
Reading 29.
Yeah.
So that's the argument that my brother's using to say the people who received the curse were the ones that were numbered, not people who were not numbered. Hold the thought, Sister Emma's going to come to your defense. I can sense it.
There's more clarity in verses 22 to 24 of Numbers 14 about who's not going to go in.
Okay, so when we go to 22 to 24, what point are you going to make? Are you going to challenge this, or it's reinforcing this?
I just want to clarify what
He says it's men and women.
it's men and women. I want to clarify that it's men.
Okay, so you want to clarify, you want to reinforce what we're showing here. So 22 to 24. And the Lord said, I have pardoned, I've gone to 20, I've pardoned according to thy word. But as truly as I live, all the earth shall be filled with the glory of the Lord, because all those men which have seen my glory and my miracles, which I did in Egypt and in the wilderness, and have tempted me now these 10 times, and have not hearkened to my voice, surely they shall not see the land which I swear unto their fathers, neither shall any of them that provoked me see it. But my servant Caleb, because he had another spirit with him, he had followed me fully, him will I bring into the land wherein he went, and his seed shall possess it. So, just want to make one point. It says, verse 20, that's right. And the Lord said, I have pardoned according to thy word. What's that conversation? First tell me the point you wanted to make, and then I want to broaden that. Why you took us, what we can say about what's going on there. So the point you're making is what?
I was clarifying all the things they've done that's going to mean they're not going into the land. They've done all this. So I wasn't separating. I think he was separating murmuring from saying that's separate from those that
I think he said that it's men and women that were murmuring and complaining, so it's the men and women that are the target. Is that right?
No, I say whoever murmured is the one who is going to be destroyed.
And if it's a woman that murmured, she'll get destroyed. And you're saying?
I was just saying that all these things they've done, they're not going to go accept all this, but that specifically there it says men.
So even when you go back before, it always seems to be men. Everywhere we're looking, it's all men. So why do you want to bring women into that? Men have done the wrong. Men are going to be punished. Okay, have a think if you have any thoughts on that. What's this argument in verse 20, Brother Rogers? Numbers 14, 20.
Is where the Lord wants to destroy all the children of Israel.
Who's all? Men, women and children. Is that what you're saying? Are you looking for the verse proofs? Just stay in verse 20. God says, I've pardoned. Did he pardon all of those men that have done all that criminality? Take a risk. we'll work through it together. What's verse 20 saying? I've pardoned. That means I was going to do something, but I'm not going to do it now. And what's he going to do now? Kill all the men. So he says, I've pardoned. So what was he going to do before? Kill everyone. Men, women and children. That's what it appears to be. We'll see if we're right or wrong. Which is the story of Korah, Dathan and Abiram. We just annihilate everyone. Everything gets destroyed. So if God was going to destroy everyone, what would be left? Just Moses. Yeah? So if we drop back to verse 10. But all the congregation, 14:10. But all the congregation bade stone them with stones. The glory of the Lord appeared in the tabernacle of the congregation before all the children of Israel. And the Lord said unto Moses, how long will this people provoke me? And how long will it be ere they believe me? For all the signs which I have showed among them. I will smite them with the pestilence, and I will disinherit them, and will make of thee a greater nation, mightier than they. And Moses said unto the Lord, then the Egyptians shall hear it, for thou brought up this people in their might from amongst them. And now if, verse 15, if thou shalt kill all this people as one man, as one person, then the nations which have heard the fame of thee will speak, saying, because you couldn't handle the pressure, you just kill everybody. Verse 16. Now I beseech thee, that the power of my Lord be great according as thou hast spoken. The Lord is long-suffering and of great mercy, forgiving iniquity and transgression, and by no means clearing the guilty, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children unto third and fourth generation. Pardon, I beseech, the iniquity of this people according to the greatness of thy mercy, and as thou hast forgiven this people from Egypt, even until now, the Lord said, I have pardoned according to thy word. So, could it be that God says, I'm going to kill all the men right now? And Moses says, don't do that, because people say, you're killing them now because you can't control people. And then God says, it's okay, I won't kill them now, I'll kill them in 40 years. What would be the difference if he killed them now or he killed them in 40 years? It wouldn't look as bad. But he could hide his lack of control. Is that what would be going on, Sister Snyder? Is that the story? I kill all the men now. Moses says, don't kill all the men. It will look bad. So God says, okay, I agree. I'll kill him in 40 years instead. Is that what that story is? Don't read the verses. Just think of the story. Does that sound reasonable? Yes or no? Sounds reasonable. So God says, I kill all the men. Moses, if you do that, it will look bad. God says, good idea. I'll kill them afterwards when no one's looking. Sounds good plan? Doesn't sound reasonable. If he's going to kill them, he'll kill them. Those people that he kills, we say it that way, 38 years later, 40 years later, they're not old and tired. Moses is 120, and it says his eyes was not dimmed. He's not the only person who is super strong. They're being sustained by what? The manna. So they don't, I'm not saying they don't age, but they don't get old and tired. They're fully strong. And if some visitor came and saw them, they would know that they didn't just die of old age, of weakness, 38 years later. They die for unnatural causes, if we can say that. It doesn't say how they died in the stories. We don't know how they died. So, if we don't think it's reasonable that God wants to hide the punishment some way, the alternative is that he wants to kill everybody, like we do the Korah, Nathan and Abiram. Is that right, Korah? Dathan, not Nathan, the Korah, Dathan and Abiram. And so Moses persuades him otherwise, says, don't do that. It will look bad. So he says, okay, I won't do that. But what I'll do instead is, I'll just kill all the men. Instead. Won't kill everybody, I'll just kill all the men. Brother Rogers? Yeah? You're nervous, you're not sure. Don't take a risk. Brother William?
I think that is what happened. What God wants to do, He wants to kill the whole congregation, all the children of Israel. But Moses convinces him otherwise, so he says to kill them there. Because I think if we go to, if the reason why he's going to kill them is murmuring, all the children of Israel are murmured against Moses. And he's like, can I leave these people who murmur against me? And Moses is trying to convince him, no, don't kill all of them. You have to forgive them. So God decides instead of killing the whole congregation, all the children of Israel, so he goes for an option of killing only the men of war.
For me, the first time Father's 22
1422.
sounds like when you mentioned those old men, the one who tell them God at the beginning. So, who are the ones who tell them God? Because to Exodus 17, they announced those people came out of Egypt, all of them. And the comment on that part is suggesting that the adults are the one who are killed. So adults means men, women,
Means men.
women.
So you say it's men and women. It says, where'd you get men and women from? In verse 22?
I'm saying the Bible commentary in that section.
A Bible commentary. Which commentary?
1 BC. 1 BC, page 1130.
Oh, a Spirit of Prophecy quote. Yeah? So you've got a Spirit of Prophecy quote. I was going to ask when someone's going to look at the Spirit of Prophecy. So we're in Numbers 14, verse 22. And we're going to go to a Bible commentary. Numbers 14:22. This is 1 BC. It's a Spirit of Prophecy quote. I don't seem to have that. Scripture index. Numbers 14. Numbers 14:22. You sure it's a Spirit of Prophecy quote? I don't seem to be able to find it for some reason. Has anybody else found that?
Commentary on verse 29 and
Yeah, but he's taking us to verse 20. He says there's one comment for verse 22. I didn't think there was one. What's the comment say? Read the quote. I can't hear anything you're saying, I'm sorry. What page are you on? 1 BC? I thought you were doing 1 BC, you moved. Okay, but you said it was verse 22. Now you've gone to verse 29. So not... Oh, did you say 29? I thought you said 22. You said 29. 1429. So this is 1 BC 1113.8. 1113.8. 7 and 8. God gave evidence that he rules the heavens and rebellion was punished with death. Only two of those who as adults left Egypt saw the promised land. The wanderings of the people were extended until the rest were buried in the wilderness. Today Satan is using the same devising to introduce the same evils, and his efforts are followed by the same results, in that the days of Israel laid so many in their graves. Manuscript 13, 1906. That's what you read to us? And what does that say? And where'd you get that from? Just from the word adults, you're going to make men and women. Even though it says in the Bible, men, in the verses before and afterwards, and all the other places, it says men, men, men all the way through. You're going to make it men and women because Ellen White says adults. No, I understand what an adult is. I get that. You're going to just base it upon that. Sorry? You think that's reasonable? Yeah? So you're going to throw away the relationship between chapter 14 and chapter 1 by one word that Ellen White says adult. Is that right? Would you do that, my brother? You wouldn't do that. Would you do that? I'm not going to ask you because you already got a problem already. Forgot. Would you do that? Ellen White says adults. What adults is he talking about?
I cannot do that.
So what's she talking about?
That one is indefinite. Adults can mean all men and can mean both. So there I have no choice.
So it's indefinite, he says. It's not saying it's every adult, men and women. It could be men or women. And the control is the Bible story, not Ellen White's comment. That sounds dangerous when you speak it like that. People get nervous. If Ellen White says adult, we all know what an adult is, men and women. My brother?
Even in the comment, there are say two adults. Two of the adults did not die. So those two were men. So if they are taking the context of the adults, I don't think ladies can fit in all women. Because the two adults, you cannot trace them to be women. They are still men.
Only two of those adults. The two adults were men. Yeah? We don't know what their wives' position were.
The lines and approved that those who were numbered were male. And I was looking at those who murmured. So when I look at Numbers 14, verses is 2.
Verse 2. And all the children of Israel murmured against Moses and against Aaron, and the whole congregation said unto them, Would God that we had died in the land of Egypt, or would God we had died in the wilderness? And wherefore hath the Lord brought us into this land to fall by the sword, that our wives and our children should be a prey? Were it not better for us to return unto Egypt? I like that.
So I see those who murmured are men, and they are talking on behalf of their wives and children. So children and wives are not among those men.
Like that?
Yeah,
Change your position?
yeah, but another question.
You can't know. You can't do another question now. We answered your question. We proof texted it. They're speaking on behalf of the wives. That's how good that is. Come on. We're here at the curse. We've got Numbers 29, 34, and now we've got 14, 2 and 3. The murmurers are speaking on behalf of their family, the heads of the families.
So I only come to think, just adding to this, men were leaders. So by men speaking, they were speaking for the women because women would not speak, I can say. So they used to speak for their children and their wives. Because when you read verse 37, Numbers 14:37 says, even those men that did bring up the evil report upon the land died by the plague before the Lord. So you are going to find that when men bring the report, women and children have no option. They have to listen to the report of the men. So I think Christ or God has to do away with the men. And
Okay, they don't agree with you over there.
So when we go back and see chapter 14, verse 31,
14:31.
we find about
14:31. But your little ones, which ye said should be a prey, them will I bring in, and they shall know the land which ye have despised.
So I think God is connecting both the little ones and the wives.
How do you connect wives with little ones?
Because these men, their concern was about their wives and what? Children.
Oh, based upon verse 3?
And when God is answering them what He's going to do, that like mothers were worried about this, your children will, their children, your children will succeed the land. What the way?
Good.
Will not be a prey as you think. So I think God is connecting the children together with the wives.
Okay? Brother Andrew. 14:2. Numbers 14:2.
Because this man that requested that they rather died in the wilderness. So now if you see God trying to answer them saying to Moses that I'm going to kill all these people. There is another thing. Then you see now what is
Any points before we close? Okay, so let's summarize. We've got a timeline now, and the number of the people, a men of war, over 20. The curse comes to men of war, over 20. And it's fulfilled when the men of war, over 20, are all dead. So the definition that we've got, we had a brave fighting man, and we can add one more bit at the end. A brave fighting man, who is 20 years or older. Are we okay with that? Let's pray. Our Heavenly Father, we want to thank you for your goodness. We ask and pray, Lord, that you would guide and direct us and bless us. We thank you, Father, for your continued watch, care and your mercy, and pray these things in the name of Jesus. Amen. Before we all go, before the camera stops rolling, I'm going to make one point as I was praying, because I'm going to forget it before the next class begins. When we deal with morality and prophecy, I think there's a lot of confusion in our movement on how to handle those words and what they mean. If you have a moral issue, can prophecy control and direct how you deal with that moral issue? Can prophecy mold, direct, which means change your perspective of morality? I'll say the same question in a more direct fashion. Can prophecy change what you think is right and what you think is wrong? Can it change that? Some people say no, and some people say yes. So think about that during breakfast. Can prophecy change your perspective of what is right and what is wrong? Or is what is right and wrong universal all the time? Or can it just change? Prophecy is this definition here. If we go with that. Oh, by the way, I don't think, I looked at CET 204, I don't think it's CET 204, I think it's another one. At least the one I was thinking of. CTR 238, I think. So, prophecy is this, and if we just say this simply, past and future, two separate histories, or two separate, that dirty word, dispensation, two separate dispensations. So I want to argue that prophecy is really the subject of dispensationalism. As you compare and contrast two stories, two histories, two dispensations. We okay with that? So my question is, can morality change from dispensation to dispensation? Some people said yes and some people said no. But I didn't use the word dispensation before, I used the word prophecy. And I didn't say, I framed it in a different way. Can prophecy control and direct what you believe is right and wrong? So have a think about that. Enjoy your breakfast, we already prayed.